we're in cap hell like we are now.
Yeah, I wish it was different. I really do. I wish we hit on something, because I thought Leonard Floyd was going to. I thought him more than anybody else. I thought he was going to fill out, and I thought he was going to be a force. Obviously, whatever they're doing in LA is benefiting him. But you have Aaron Donald. You have a very
other factors, yeah.
You have other factors that benefit that. But I mean, you can also say that they had Khalil Mack, but we're nitpicking at this point. For me, you missed too many times, Ryan Pace. It's like I said, it just didn't work out. Like I understand where he might have thought he was right in some of his draft choices, but in the end, you didn't focus on the foundation, which is the point of attack, which is the offensive and defensive. Well, the defensive line was fine, but the offensive line on the offense that you was supposed to be transitional. You know what I mean? They're supposed to change the offense in Chicago with Matt Nagy, and you didn't do the one thing that is needed in order to protect the quarterback, and that's bolster the offensive line. I don't see him sticking around. I could see Matt Nagy sticking around because, first of all, the positive attitude still through all this. Second, the locker room doesn't seem to be – there seems to be issues, but it doesn't seem to be – they don't seem to be insurmountable. They seem to – to me, it seems like the locker room is policing itself in a sense. The guys are holding other men accountable. Men are holding other men accountable in the locker room. I'll say that. But as far as Ryan Pace, it's been too many hit or miss, or too many misses, and not enough hits.
I agree. So we're going to continue this conversation with our guy. He's snowed in. It's like we're going to continue this conversation with our guy who's over at Dante's Peak. He is the draft doctor himself. He's the founder of the Tape Never Lies Network, where he breaks down Bears games weekly. Has a couple of shows on there, and one of them is Keeping It 100, where you just keep it 100, just be real. Man, great friend of the program. You find him on you can find him on Twitter at Fulphilo, Fulphilo, but he's more of an IG guy. So find him at Instagram at Phil_Ottochian. Guys, let's bring him out. Our boy, the draft doctor himself, Phil Ottochian. Phil, what's up, buddy? How are you, Papa?
What's up, boys? Can you hear me? How's the cold?
Dante's Peak over there? Dante's Peak?
Yeah.
You're Pierce Brosnan waiting for an avalanche over there?
That was a good movie, man.
It was classic.
I like all those, like, the end of the world movies. Those are great.
Day After Tomorrow.
I get sucked into those things. I keep waiting for it to be us. I'm like looking around. Like, then this pandemic came and it became even scarier. Like, keeps getting worse.
Like, you're like, whoa, maybe it could happen. Whoa, hold on.
Exactly.
Well, our Bears take on the Minnesota Vikings this Sunday in an elimination type game. The loser really has their wild card chances dashed, and I'll stop being Peter Brady hopefully soon, and and I'll get some bass in my voice instead of no more of this. When it's time to change.
Man, we know all the same stuff, me and you.
We do.
We got to rearrange. It's like Mitch calling out Nagy yesterday.
Yeah.
He's like, we got to rearrange the playbook, coach.
Yeah, we do.
I love that part where he's like, Mike Berman asks him, so did you go to them? Maybe you did. But... and then he's like, he like giggles, snickers, and is like, he kept it 100, just like our show, Shawn. And he's like, yeah, I did go to him. I mean, there's nothing I could do to change or rewrite. I'm paraphrasing, obviously.
Right.
I can't go back where they took me out and we're completely moronic idiots. And Nagy's a complete dick. That's basically that's exactly what he said. I mean, if you had a letter of recommendation, like right there, Mitch Trubisky is telling you Coach Nagy is so completely full of himself that he didn't put me as a priority, and it hurt. I mean, I felt like you could see the I just posted something on my page, my Facebook page. You could see that Mitch is not only hurt by it, but it's almost motivating him as well. So I'm glad you're getting some truths, because Nagy, when all things were going good and he's the toast of the town, he was very transparent. And I really like that about a coach, because I think that's how you win. But once things started to get tough, Shawn, now all of a sudden he gets defensive. Hey, did you see the Colts? You see the Colts game? Did you see that?
Yeah.
Hey, I don't know if you watched
practice.
Yeah, he had a great week of practice. I mean, we've done this every week. We've done this every week. I mean, I didn't come here to run the eye.
Yeah.
All these things we're showcasing. I heard a lot of people say, well, he's learning on the job. Exactly. I'm not an idiot. I know we need to run the ball. And then you give this kid 11 carries in a blowout win. It's unbelievable the lengths with which coaching negligence shows itself, even in a victory. You know, Shawn, I don't mean to hijack this. You haven't even asked me a question yet, but
I know you just came on and just started going. We started with Bobby Brady.
You got me
Nagy.
Rearranged. You threw it. I'm not Cindy Brady getting nervous with the red light. Exactly. She choked up. No. Yeah, it just is very damning to me. Even in a win, when I speak about tape and show it, I think, like you said, there's nowhere for it to hide. So that's why I stand on that foundation of truth. And when my equation, if you will, ends in a coaching issue, then I got to call it out. And now this just put that big red check mark that your teacher used to do.
When you got it wrong, yeah.
Yeah, it's like
used to be a ballpoint, then they come out with the felt.
They got that felt tip.
And it was all thicker and wider and redder. Like, and then you could always see the person in front of you or to the side of you when they give them, oh, damn, he got a check mark. Oh, my God.
Exactly.
Big ass red.
There's no sticker on this one. I'm screwed.
So let's talk about this, man. Your feelings.
Yeah.
What if Bill Lazor? Well, I've liked a little bit of. I like what Bill Lazor has done. He's used Mitch's athletic ability. He's used his skill sets a lot more efficiently than Matt Nagy has. Right. Matt Nagy tried to fit Mitch Trubisky into his offense, and Bill Lazor is catering the offense around and building it around Mitch's skill set. I know that's a crazy concept, but oh my God. What happens? What do you give me your thoughts if they put up another 30 on Sunday, which is possible? What happens if they went out and they average 25 to 30 points a game? Okay, and that's including a win against Green Bay in the final week of the season, and they get in the playoffs. And in the middle of 3 weeks ago, we're like playoffs my ass. We're talking 2021 playoffs.
Right.
Yeah, we can make those. We're in good shape for those. But what happens? And give me your take on what happens if they do make the playoffs. And God freaking bid. And I hate to root against my team, but what if they win the wild card match? You still fire Pace and Nagy? Because now it's tough to call. It's tough because you know how they're going to spin it. Oh, we made the playoffs, 2 out of the last 3 years, blah, 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 blah. But if they do make the playoffs, and here's why I asked the question, that means Mitch will have improved. That means Mitch will have gotten better. Something that he hasn't done under Nagy, but he's doing under Lazor.
Okay. There's 2 parts here. Well, 3 actually, because Lazor kind of was. I was listening to our boy David Kaplan this morning, and they were joking with Lazor's comments. Are you calling the plays or is And he's like, you'll have to talk to Coach Nagy. That tells me obviously Nagy's either put a restriction on what he can say. Because Nagy then turns around when asked the same question. Oh, Bill's calling the plays. So you're getting a misconstrued story there. So we don't know. as the head coach, this guy has a lot of arrogance and a lot of pride. You could see it every red zone trip with the trickery and the gimmickry. We see that. We know that's a Nagy thing.
Yep.
I don't know that that's a Laser thing. I've not seen Laser do that kind of stuff when I look back at his Bengals play calling history there. So that being said, let me just say this. 2 parts here. If they win out, listen, I've always said this. As a coach, you have to look in the mirror and decide, are you going to do the things that your team does well? Or are you going to try to fit a square peg in a round hole? That's the difference. Pride, arrogance versus making the right choices. If you do that and you show signs of growth, then of course, if you make the playoffs and you turn this thing around, which was earmarked for death by 1,000 paper cuts, then of course the conversation changes. Everything changes with the perspective. But I want to say this. I've said this. It's on the record on our network. I said if Mitch Trubisky was playing under Kyle Shanahan, he would be talked about like a different quarterback up in the Mahomes and Watson, how they're talked about. Look at this kid. Look at what he's doing. That's what they've been doing in their offense the last couple weeks. They're bringing that, what you talked about, Dennison, Gary Kubiak, thinking that boot action, inside stretch, boot out of it, waggles, action off of it. Listen, that's what Mitch does well. That's what you would expect a coach to find an identity back in week 3 against the Falcons, He pulls Mitch, wants to go with his guy. So if you're the president, you're the owner, how do you grade this coach? How do you understand and put your trust and belief in him? If he turns this around, is it too late? For me, as much as I've been an advocate for getting rid of this guy, I'm writing songs about it, Christmas songs, and I'm talking about it every time I'm doing a show, then I can't, in my right mind, be hypocritical and say,
Oh, Phil, we lost you.
you got me now?
Oh, got you back. You said the last thing we said is in my right mind, I can't be hypocritical and say.
And then I was like, "What? What did he say?"
That was out of a movie, dude. That was literally out of a movie.
Someone called right when I was talking. I'm working on the go here, guys. I'm on my lunch break. I'm getting called. My dog got sick, so I was wondering if it was the vet. It's been a crazy 24 hours with the winter storm Bailey over here. I've dropped about 14 inches. I was shoveling for 4.5 hours.
Oh my
Anyway, back to this. I can't be hypocritical and say get rid of someone that has recognized and done exactly what I've said. Look in the mirror, get rid of your pride, and do the things that your team does well. That is a coach that's growing. You hired this guy fully knowing that he was a glorified position coach, no head coaching history whatsoever. Whatsoever. It's almost in comparison to Mitch Trubisky and Watson and Mahomes. They had these starts, the Bill Parcells theory of senior starts and college starts, and they checked off those. Mitch didn't. He had 12 starts in his career. So you base that and you formulated it with John Fox. We know the story. And then you hire a head coach that has no starts as a head coach. As a play caller, he's got two. He called 1 or 2, 5 play. In a playoff game, he forgets Kareem Hunt is the NFL rushing leader.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way,
that guy again?
that has fumbled itself into Chicago. And it happened this past weekend with David Montgomery. Listen, I've heard theories. Hey, you don't give David the ball when you're up. You don't want to get him hurt. That's cockamamie. That's nonsense. You want to get David the ball, run out the clock, and win, and build that confidence on the offensive line. If an injury happens, that's part of football. Shawn, Sierra, Ivan, draft doctor, Phillips, Shane, my partner, we are not going to kill the coach because he was running David and he got hurt in a win. No. The reality was this is the penicillin. Like I've said, every week here, running the football is the penicillin.
Crazy, huh?
So anyway, how this game measures into the pot. If he wins this game, it is an elimination game, Shawn. It is. It's a playoff game for the Chicago Bears. If they don't act like it is, then he's a terrible head coach. Get rid of him. This is it. You have an opportunity. Your chances of making the playoffs go to 50%. You like those odds? I do. Because this defense is travel. Granted, they'll be without Jalen Johnson and screen. Jefferson's going to be a key component, how they deal with Thielen and Jefferson. But the Bears are a better football team. Yes, I said it. I'll say it again. Than the Vikings. So this coach has to have them prepared. And this game, to me, is his last hurrah. It's his job interview. If he goes out there and performs and they then carry this and they continue winning, they beat the Jags, they beat the Green Bay Packers, then you're doing what you set out to do. A season and a story are written in chapters during a football season. If you're turning this page and you're learning, the whole direction of this team changes. And that's on the head coach and Trubisky's improvement. Because you know what? If I really believe Mitch is being truthful, Shawn, and saying, listen, I really went to these guys and said, this is what I like. And they didn't listen to me. And that's an indictment on the head coach. If he's getting it right now, so be it. I honestly, if gun to my head, I would fire everybody. But this is an opportunity for a young coach, obviously in turmoil and dysfunction and all the crap that we've seen. If he could turn this around, then that's a good sign for growth. If they win a playoff game, there's no way this guy's getting fired. No way. No way. They will freaking paint the town orange and blue.
Hey, guys, we're joined by the draft doctor himself, Phil Ottochian from the Tape Never Lies Network, talking a lot of Bears right here on Shawn and Maya on SportsZone Chicago.
Hey, Phil, sticking with that theme, the Bears winning out and reaching the playoffs. Even if they do, I feel like there still needs to be there needs to be blood to pay. You know, there needs to be somebody that takes
head's got to roll.
Yeah, head's got to roll. Somebody needs to take some responsibility. And I think if they do win out and they do reach the playoffs, I think whether they win or lose, I think they'll keep Matt Nagy and they'll fire Ryan Pace. For me, it's it's almost like we're in a position that, yeah, we want to root for them because I don't necessarily think they need to blow up the team. They just need to refocus, retool, and if, like you said, if Matt Nagy could refocus his philosophy and say, hey, look I'm going to take a back seat. Mitch is over here begging us to throw things in that work for him. Now I go ahead and I give it to Bill, and Bill's actually listening. Maybe I should go ahead and take that back seat and just observe and be the coach and just be the head coach. And I feel like I don't feel like the locker room is as fractured as we thought, but I think that people are starting to be held accountable. And if they could go ahead and win out, let's say they sneak into the playoffs and let's just say it's a good game and they fall short, right? Do you think that they go ahead and they keep Matt Nagy, they keep Mitch Trubisky on a franchise tag, and they try to run it back, but with Bill Lazor and with the philosophy of, hey, we need to run the football first and let Mitch manage and be the secondary option?
I honestly don't see any scenario where the marriage of Nagy and Mitch continue. I can't see that. I think Mitch, really, head over, check out what Mitch had to say. If you're following me on Facebook, you can see it there. I cut it, clipped it. I want you to see the answer that he gives is one, it's stirring in truth. It really is. And I think it's an indictment on the head coach and the guy who was calling plays and the guy who made the moves and made the competition. And don't tell me Pace was the guy wanting Nick Foles. That is straight from the head coach. So it's a big decision, one with which, for me, I just can't see Mitch staying with Nagy. I think Mitch believes in Ryan Pace's belief in him. So I think, I don't know the relationship with Pace and Nagy. They put on a front,
Right,
but we don't see Pace much at all. We hear him with Jeff Joniak's freaking lunch with Larry type question.
Yeah.
We don't hear in depth. I would love to get that guy on our show so I can ask him some serious football questions. That's Ryan Pace. But he's always in hiding. That's another thing I don't like about the guy. But if they win and make the playoffs, I think you're not going to see a change. There's no way. They're going to do exactly what Shawn said, and they're going to ride the good ship lollipop into the offseason and hopefully make some changes. But I wouldn't, even if they do, there's going to be a serious amount of pressure from the fan base to keep Mitch Trubisky, and there becomes a wrestling match, one with which the general manager would have to step in and try to freaking rekindle these vows. I always say the quarterback and the head coach is a marriage, and that's the one key to every football team's success. Obviously, the most important position in all of sports. The CEO was distracted by the Denny's or Greek diner playbook. And he was always in it, never involved in the game. Now laser calling plays, if it's real, then this guy's more of the CEO, seeing the dynamics of this and hopefully obtaining the reality of the truth in football. You got to do, I was taught this at a very, very young age. If you're going to coach on the high school level, if you're going to coach on the college level, you don't have an offense. You learn as much offense as you possibly can so you can then transfer that to the team's talents, and you define your offense based on each and every team. So think about how colleges, every year they get a new recruiting class. They get a new bunch of talent. In high school, you can't, like my father said, you can't recruit. You can't pick your talent. You got to coach what you got. So you got to try to be successful, and you figure out things. I mean, we went from running the wing tee to running the inverted bone to the Army's offense because we didn't have any tailbacks. So our quarterback was our best athlete, and you end up winning 8 games in an offense that you just studied and put in, and you coach it up and you teach it. Right now, Mitch had his best game. David Montgomery, coincidentally, had an amazing game. The coach did everything in his power to make Cordarrelle Patterson the offense. That's where I give pause, Shawn. As a back, you have an 80-yard run and you don't get another carry or 2 series later.
Yeah, 2 series later. He should have been back out there.
Exactly.
And it's bothersome. Here's some of the things that if one has to go.
Yes.
And if one has to go, we were talking about this. Who do you take? Because for me, it's got to be Ryan Pace. Because I can't keep Ryan Pace, can't keep screwing up first-round draft picks.
Right.
We are in cap hell because of the screw-ups that you made with Kevin White, with Leonard Floyd, and with Mitch Trubisky. Okay, we've had to spend money to cover your ass.
Even with second-round picks.
Second-round
picks. Graham. He's got to get Graham. He had to redraft another tight end. Cole Kmet.
My thing is that a point that you made. I was like, wow, the fact that Nagy decided to back off from play calling and give it to Laser is you mentioned, you put it more succinctly than I did, shows growth in a coach.
Right.
And he's got to circle the wagons and say, my job is on the line. What do I need
Absolutely.
to do? And if my job is secure by me keeping my grubby, dirty little fingers off the offense, then I'm going to keep my ass and my dirty little fingers away from that offense and let Bill do what he's going to do. I would take Nagy back even with his arrogance, because I think he's had a lot of humble pie from the fans, from the media, maybe even the players, from from his peers in the league. He's eaten a lot of crow.
Yeah.
But I just can't keep screwing up number 1 picks, because those are the talented those are the game breakers, and you keep picking the wrong game breaker.
This
my
is
opinion.
This is a tough question for me.
Because I know your love for Matt Nagy.
No, because I look at the roster and you could say what you want and you have great points, and then I could point out some good. The Khalil Mack trade to me, that was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll go to my grave. I'm looking at a guy each and every week that's probably the best player on the football field each and every week, and he plays with a motor. I don't worry about those draft capital, to your point, because Ryan Pace has had a tendency to fail with that draft capital. Do I want a guess at a good pass rusher, or do I want the best one in the league? When a GM goes up and gets the best, you got to give him credit. He's made some good signs. Darnell Mooney, Johnson, Cole Kmet is being freed.
Dude, if he could pick, and I've said this, dude, if he could pick from round 3 on, look at him round 3 on, dude. He is a Hall of Fame general manager.
Well, that
from round 3 on.
That comes from trusting your scouts, because that's where every scout becomes priority one. All right, guys. He's focused in on the first. Listen, my Uncle Sam told me a long time, a lot of these GMs are so focused on their job and keeping it, they focus so much attention on that first round. But teams and dynasties are built after the first round. It's historically that way, including undrafted free agents, who, by the way, they have 2 starting on their offensive line. It's imperative that you get talent there. So when I look at this team, I honestly, preseason, picked them to win 10 games. And the biggest issue and the impeder of it has been the head coach, without a doubt. So gun to my head, I would get Coach Nagy. If I had to choose out of the 2, I would get him out of there. And then you believe in the coach that comes in. Like somebody said this to me real quick. Phil, it's the same players, and it's going to be the same thing if you get a new coach. No. That's not how it works. A coach who's worth his grain of salt is a teacher first. And when you have accountability on that end as a head coach, that we're going to do it this way, the perfect example is over in Pittsburgh. Mike Tomlin, he came from the 4-3, stunt 4-3, cover 2 defense, get that shaded tilt 3 tech, get him up the field. We had Tommy Harris, Warren Sapp. You know that defense, right? He came from that. But as a head coach being interviewed, he understood at a young age the Pittsburgh Steelers traditionally, their foundation has been in a 3-4 scheme. They've won, and their tradition is, I need to be the CEO of this team. And I'm going to let, I forget his name, the godfather of the 3-4. What was his name? Oh, man. He ended up going to the Texans. Dick LeBeau. Thank you. He let Dick LeBeau be the defensive coordinator, and he hired an offensive coordinator, and he became the CEO. And that CEO just last week saying, if they don't catch the ball, then they'll be sitting on the sideline. And when's the last time you've heard that in Chicago? You haven't with any of these guys they've hired. Trestman, Jaron, Wannstedt. Maybe Wannstedt maybe have said something in that vein, but nobody else, Lovey included, never put anybody on Front Street. You mentioned Kyle Fuller with Vic Fangio. That's a defensive coordinator doing that. That's the only example I can remember. Now, you look at the winning cultures and teams, Parcells, Jimmy Johnson, Tomlin, Cower. Accountability was the first number one thing. Matt Nagy has not learned that yet, and the importance of it. And that's really why the long answer, to get rid of Nagy, you get a new guy in here that has that gene, like, this is my team, but we are going to do what's best for my team, because like you said, Shawn, my father said this on BHL. Sam told it to him, Sam Rutigliano. I'm the guy that's going to be fired. This is my team. You all are doing and representing me. So we all have to be on the same page. in what we're doing philosophically. And as the head coach, I could be wrong. So it's important for you as a friend, think about it like that, to tell me, hey, you got a booger in your nose. You're about to go meet this chick.
He's a bat in the cave, dude. Come on.
Don't be the guy that doesn't say anything. That's not a good friend. A good friend keeps it 100, and they let you know what's going on. Matt Nagy's not done that, and that's why I feel like a change is needed there. And I feel like this Viking game is. I know we've said this a lot. There was a huge crossroad games against the Bucks, and they went out there and won it. And you really thought that the tide and the culture was turning, and then you saw what happened thereafter. Losing streak, and hopefully he gets it back. This game against the Vikings is his story. This is his resume, Nagy's. How do you prepare? This is one and done. You lose, your playoff hopes are out. So how are they prepared? That first snap, defensively or offensively, is going to tell me the story of how this team responds to Coach Nagy, knowing that their playoff hopes and the season is on the line.
And his job is on the line.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Phil, great stuff. I know you got to run, Papa. I do appreciate you every week coming on, brother.
Absolutely.
I really, really do, man. But let everyone know where they can find you online.
You can find me right here, Instagram, at Phil_Ottochian. Or you can follow me on Facebook. I'm always chatting it up. And you could go to our YouTube channel. You see my video series every week. The Draft Dr. Phil's The Tape Never Lies. It never does. I break down every week the offense. If you want an in-depth analysis like your boy Ivan does, you become a patron member. And you sign up www.thetapeneverlies.com. And I break down and teach and analyze the Chicago Bears, the NFL draft, free agency, and obviously coaching stuff. If there's a firing, we're going to be all over who the Bears should hire. I'm going to give you my top 5 guys that they need to get after. If they fire Pace, I'll give you my top 5 GMs. So hopefully you go over to the Tape Never Lies Network. You can find it on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter. We're everywhere, like Visa. Or is it MasterCard?
Both of them.
There you go. Hey, I love you guys, man.
Hey, you're awesome, dude. Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it. We'll be in touch soon.
Absolutely. And Ivan, we got to get you on the show next week, the Christmas show.
I'm with it. Just hit me up. Send me a text.
Yeah. There you go. All right, brother.
All right, Phil.
Guys.
Love you, buddy. Thank you. Hey, guys, that was a draft Dr. Phil Ottochian. And he doesn't bite his tongue. Does not bite his tongue. And I love it. I think that's why we get along so well. We hit because we're both football guys.
Phil came in kick down the door, bring in the 4-4. I mean, he was just ready to go. I loved it.
Yep. Great stuff. Well, listen, we got to take a quick break. And on the other side of the break, we're going to finish up with some sports conversation. And your boy, the Superback, along with the super producer himself, going to close out the show, close out the week. So don't go anywhere. Keep it locked right here. Shawn and Maya on SportsZone Chicago.
Hey, this is Gary Payton, and we listen to Shawn and Maya in the morning. Do that.
AutomotiveMap.com presents the Sports Flash, powered by The Score on 1330 and 95.9 The Zone. Women's basketball last night, 16th-ranked Northwestern defeated Purdue 70-54. Both teams struggled from the three-point line, with Purdue making 3 of 16 from long-range. Northwestern connected on just 5 of 19 from deep. Northwestern is 3-0 on the season. Purdue is now 3-2. Illinois women's basketball team is scheduled to host 19th-ranked Michigan tomorrow. The Wolverines are 5-0, while the Illini are currently 2-2. The game is scheduled to air on the Big Ten Network. Men's basketball on Sunday, 13th-ranked Illinois is on the road at number 19 Rutgers in Big Ten play. The Illini is currently 5-2 on the season, while Rutgers has started 5-0. That game televised on ESPN2. Download the Score app today. The Score app is free and one of the most popular sports apps in North America. I'm John Thayer with the Sports Flash, powered by The Score on 1330 and 95.9 The Zone.
It's Super Saturday at Kohl's. Take an extra 20 or 15% off. Get a Magic Bullet blender $33.99, 30% off toys, and save on Sonicare electric toothbrushes $24.99. Plus, get Kohl's Cash. Plus, fast and free store pickup. Give with all your heart. Shop Kohl's and Kohl's.com. Select styles, 20 and 15% offers valid December 10th through December 20th with promo code Big Savings. Toys, offers, and coupons do not apply. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
I'm Dr. Baker, an ER physician. If you're having leg pain, swelling, or redness, but haven't talked to your doctor yet, don't wait. This could be deep vein thrombosis, a blood clot which could travel to your lungs and lead to a pulmonary embolism, which could cause chest pain or discomfort or difficulty breathing and be deadly. Your symptoms could mean something serious, so don't wait. Talk to a doctor right away, by phone, online, or in person.
Brought to you by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago. We're in the home stretch here. They come spinning out of the turn, as Phil Georgieff would say. For those of you who don't know who Phil Georgieff was, don't worry about it. You're too young. Anyway, had some good stuff, man. Some good stuff. You know, this week was awesome. You know, we got a little shakeup in the Blackhawks front office. My White Sox, excuse me.
Wait a minute.
my White Sox lost their one of their catchers, who I think was the better catcher, in the time that he's been here. That really hurt. The Bears have won a game. They've come out of there. They've ended that losing streak, and I thought that was very surprising, but it was very, very positive for the team, and it's put me in a conundrum as a fan. We've seen a lot. We've seen a lot this week, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this weekend plays out. We talked about Northwestern this week, today with John Suarez, talking about what Northwestern can do if Northwestern can do the impossible and upset Ohio State tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock Central. That throws a huge monkey wrench in the college football playoff. And I think it would be great. You know, Northwestern screwed themselves by losing to Michigan State, because otherwise this game could be for the Big Ten representation of who's going into the college football playoff had Northwestern not stumbled against Michigan State, because Northwestern was 8 at that particular point.
Well, I'll say this. If Ohio State loses to Northwestern, I don't think they belong. I honestly, I truthfully don't think they belong, because if you look at the rule, you got a rule change, you got a limited amount of games played. I don't see how you could justify them belonging in the college playoff if they lose to a number 14 Northwestern team. It doesn't make sense to me.
No, it doesn't. And that's the great thing about sports, is that's why, you know, the old saying, that's why you play the games. And all it takes is one. It's not a series. This is not best out of 5, best out of 7. This is one game. And you know, there have been some rumors circulating, unconfirmed rumors, that is, but just unconfirmed stories. But again, so just rumors about the wide receiving core of Ohio State and them dealing with some COVID issues. If that's the case, that's going to be a big benefit to Northwestern and their defense, because Northwestern has a really good defense. And if they can get to Justin Fields, he's a stud. He is a Heisman candidate. You're going to have to keep an eye. You're going to have to keep a spy on this kid.
Yeah.
And if their wide receiving core is depleted by any stretch, it'll be a lot easier to keep a spy on him than it would be if they're at full strength. Well,
we saw Justin Fields run into an Indiana team and throw. I think he had 3 picks.
Yep.
If I'm not mistaken, he had 3 picks. So he's susceptible. He's susceptible. If you go ahead and you maybe just disguise some coverages, maybe send a blitz at him. You know what I mean? Get somebody in his face. He's going. I'll say this. He's a great player, but I think when it comes to decision making with chaos around him, I think he could run into some interceptions. That's what Indiana did. They kept coming at him, and he was forced into some throws and forced into some bad throws. Some of them were very confusing. It looked like he just got rattled. So if they could just make sure you focus on contain, I think the key thing is contain, because you don't want him beating you with his legs. You want him beating you with his arm if he can. And that's the big question. Can he beat you with his arm? So if they could contain it and generate some pressure, hopefully get home. And if they don't get home, at least hit him, at least put him on his ass a couple times. I think Northwestern's in good shape. It could be in good shape. It has to be a total team effort on defense, though. There can't be any mistakes.
The offense of Northwestern plays a big role in this as well. The offense of Northwestern, it's been very potent, and they need to make sure that they're still able to put some points on the board. All right, they need to be able to one, control the clock, because if you keep Justin Fields off the field, well, that's a big thing. He's not scoring points against you.
Right.
Their defense is getting tired, and then later in the game, their defense could be a little tired and worn out. Mark, what are they averaging? Ohio State's ranked 4th in the country. Okay, at 46. Let me say that again. 46.6 points a game. 46 points a game. And the Wildcats are holding opponents to 14 points. No. Mark, I'm reading the wrong thing. But they're not giving up. And Ohio State is 6th in yards and 532 yards a game. So they have their work cut out for them. This is an explosive team. You know it. The Wildcats are giving up 14.6 points a game. So something's got to give. That's a 30-point swing right there. That's a 30-point difference. You're giving up 16 and a half, and your opponent scores 46 and a half. So if you can confuse Justin Fields, if you can get him on the ground, if you can get hits on him, like you said, what you're going to have to do is you got to puncher's chance.
Yeah.
And by that I mean you have to beat him to the point where he's worried about the hits. He takes his eyes off field, or he runs before he has to, and eliminates. And with the spies, you got to spy this kid. And as opposed to waiting and having a receiver come open, you have to get him off his square. You have to get him mentally flustered. And the way you do that is you knock the crap out of him. Repeatedly knock the crap out of him. And can Northwestern's defense step up to the challenge? We're gonna find out in less than 24 hours is kickoff. So we're gonna find out.
This is like Punch Out, man. This is Little Mac versus Tyson. This is what it is. This is Little Mac versus Tyson. I know I have interest in the Notre Dame versus Clemson game, and that's a big game coming up tomorrow as well. But this one really, I think more than that one, because I still feel like in a loss, I think both teams could still be in the college playoffs. Oh, a loss for the Irish. I think they both could still be in. But with Northwestern, it has my interest, man. If they could do it, and like John said, Pat Fitzgerald, after a 3-9 season, comes and says, "We'll see you in the Big Ten championship game." Man, what a story! What a story for him! What a story for Northwestern! I like an underdog story. So for me, it's like I'm going to be rooting for Northwestern tomorrow. Not that Ohio State isn't talented or whatever, but it's Chicago. It's close to home. They're the little guy, taking on the giant that is Ohio State. And it'll be an awesome story if they could go ahead and upset them and deny them after the Big Ten is doing everything possible to get Ohio State into the college playoff.
Yeah, when we talked about that story about the Big Ten conference doing whatever they had to send Ohio State to the Big Ten championship game so they can be represented in the college football playoff. And what a beautiful thing would be if Northwestern was able to derail those plans. That would be awesome. That would be so. That'd be karma. That would be a beautiful, beautiful karma. So, but you did talk about the Notre Dame and Syracuse, Notre Dame and Clemson game. that's going to be another phenomenal game because now you got your starting quarterback back. Okay, but I will say this: you have some of your receivers back as well, which they didn't have in the first game. But I will say this: that quarterback, Agi, whatever, I can't remember how to pronounce it. He didn't play bad. He just isn't Trevor Lawrence. And Notre Dame's going to have – they're dealing with Trevor Lawrence now. And it's going to be – that game is going to determine one of the guys in the – who's in the college football playoffs because they're both up there 2 and 3, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. So one of them is going to get knocked out. You got a Georgia team going, over there who's not going to get in. There's a lot of teams who are out there just waiting to get in and saying, hey, if we're undefeated or we're a conference champ, there's no way you can put a team at 2 losses if Notre Dame wins ahead of us. We have 1 loss and they're a conference champion. Yeah, that's going to be because it's Alabama, Notre Dame, Clemson, and Ohio State are the top 4. Texas A&M's right on the outside. Iowa State's right at number 6. Florida's number 7. Georgia's number 8. Cincinnati 9. Oklahoma 10. And whoever
that'll so like all right, and let's say Clemson pulls it off because they do have Trevor Lawrence. It's a fact. They do have a Heisman winner. You know what I'm saying? They have the number 1 draft pick overall, soon to be, on their team. If Notre Dame drops this one, are they out of the college playoff? In my opinion, they shouldn't be. In my opinion, you first of all, I don't care if Trevor wasn't on that team or not. The team was still a top team in the league, and they still were beating people. You know what I'm saying? They beat a Boston College team the week prior, and they used the same quarterback to do it. So for me, then they still had the same defensive players. Don't get me wrong. That defense allowed points as well. It wasn't just the offense, and you can't just say, they didn't have Trevor Lawrence. The defense allowed Notre Dame to be in that game. But for me, if Notre Dame drops this game, I don't see why they shouldn't still be in the college playoffs. Maybe they drop in seeding, but I don't see why they shouldn't be. Part of me feels like if Ohio State loses, or if Ohio State wins and Notre Dame loses, I'm almost nervous enough to think that Notre Dame will get dropped out and Ohio State will remain. You know what I'm saying? Like it's bothersome to me that the Big Ten did that because it's almost like are you just trying to push this team in at all costs? What if they lose to Northwestern? Are they still going to be in the college playoff? Like these are the questions that should be raised, and I don't know if they're going to get it right.
There's a scenario. This would really screw everything up. Ohio State loses. Clemson loses. Okay. And then now there's a scramble because now you have number 5 Texas A&M. You have a number 6 Iowa State who's going to claim that they should be there. Okay. You have a number 7 Florida and a number 8 Georgia. These are all teams who are even further back are going to want to plead their case as to why they belong in the football playoff. So I hope Northwestern can get that done. I hope because that would be awesome. And one of these guys is going to drop out. So you're saying if Notre Dame loses, they should still be in the college playoff. Is that what you're saying? I feel like that's the case. They lost to a Clemson team who was they were in the championship last year. Their only losses to you without their starting quarterback, and then let's say it's not a blowout. Let's say it's a close game. Mm-hmm. I don't see why they should be eliminated from college playoff contention when they lost to a team that's pretty much a spot behind them. It wouldn't make sense to me. But if Ohio State loses with the lack of wins and the way that they went about pretty much making sure that regardless of wins they will be eligible for playoff contention. There's no way with a loss that Ohio State should be in the playoff. I'm sorry. No, they're out. If they lose, they're out. So there's no ifs, ands, or buts. They're out. It's gonna be fun, man. Tomorrow it's gonna be. We start at 11 o'clock the Big Ten championship game. I mean, we're not even talking. what if Texas A&M loses? Because you got the Big 12 championship. The Big 12 championship is Oklahoma, Iowa State.
Mm-hmm.
But Texas A&M is at Tennessee. So what if Tennessee upsets Texas A&M? You know what I mean? So there's going to be a whole bunch of games. These are games on tomorrow: Northwestern, Ohio State, A&M at Tennessee, Oklahoma, Iowa State, Florida State, Wake Forest, Washington State, Utah, Air Force and Army, Mississippi, LSU.
Mm-hmm.
Notre Dame's in the afternoon at 3:00. Minnesota, Wisconsin at 3. So there's going to be nothing but pure enjoyment on tomorrow for if you're a football fan.
Oh, I'll be
a college football fan.
TV, dude. Just to be like with my blanket, just like warm, like a little kid again, watching cartoons, just like college football.
Well, listen, 3 hours has come and gone. We want to thank our guest John Suarez for calling in and talking a little. Northwestern with us, and then we want to thank our guy, the draft doctor himself, Bill Ottochian, for calling in on his lunch break as he usually does, in a blizzard of 14 inches that was dropped on them out in the Northeast. For calling in. You guys made a phenomenal show, along with our executive producer Elliot Baez, our social media guy Clarence Council, and you see him on the screen, my Puerto Rican Swiss Army knife Ivan Vargas. All you guys helped made it a great show. So we're going to take a 69-hour break. We'll be back on Monday, 9 a.m. to noon Central Standard Time. So for my lovely co-host in absentia, Maya Kai, and my super producer himself, Ivan Vargas.
Bear down, but if you lose, I wouldn't be too mad.
Guys, I'm your boy, the Superback Shawn Sierra. We'll see you on Monday. Deuces.